What's up, everybody, and welcome to the All Right Take 5 podcast. This week, I had the pleasure to have the Polyrhythm Polyglot, Manny Lozano himself. If you know Manny, then you already know he's a phenomenal guitar player, and that's just for lack of a better word. You'll recognize his works from local juggernauts that was Triumph Over Shipwreck, his experimental post-black metal band, Hunhau Mitnal, which is playing in the background right now. This is a song called Juggernauts, and his progressive band, Artifact. And you might even seen him around town playing with his jazz project, Footprints. Yeah, he played in a metallic hardcore band. He plays in a black metal band, a progressive band, and on top of all that, he plays jazz guitar, and much more. If you haven't already, please do yourself the favor and go listen to all his projects, all of which are available to stream on Spotify and everywhere else you stream music. All the bands are done so well, and very different from one another. It's hard to believe it's written by the same guy. So I got the chance to pick Manny's brain a bit in this episode and see how such a talented and prolific musical mind like his own works. We got into his wide range of influences, how he prepares and practices, and gave myself some wise and inspirational words. No lie, after he left from doing the podcast, I went straight to practicing and playing guitar, which probably you guys should too. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, so let's kick the music and let's start this show. So we were talking about how we're holding up with this whole fantastic year we've been having of Apocalypse 2020, right? But saying that we have, it sucks for the people who's having a hard time, right? Obviously, people who's lost jobs and all that stuff. But like I was telling you, people got one thing back, and that's time. And I think as musicians, that's really helped us in a way. At least it has for me. I mean, that's how I started this whole podcast thing going on. I already bought pieces in here and there of gear every now and then for months, really. And then I finally said, fuck it, I have the time, let's do it. People have the time, let's get together, let's talk. For you, have you been finding yourself being able to practice more, being able to maybe just do some more personal self-reflection, growing a bit as a person or as a musician, or what has this time done for you?
At the beginning it was extremely tough.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of, you're worrying about how you're going to be able to pay for things and such. I'm sure everybody was on the same boat, just sort of freaking out. And as everything was sort of starting out, as the weeks kept going by, I started realizing that time wasn't really the issue, at least on my end, because I was constantly, blindly complaining about how I never have enough time to practice more, even though I feel like I practice already too much.
Dude, shit. I wish I need to start practicing as much as you do, man, because, damn.
It's the time management thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, from listening to motivational speakers, how they talk about time management and such, I started being really honest with myself, and I realized that you just ultimately prioritize what you want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be good at every single thing, that I'm trying to do. I started making lists of what I needed to work on musically throughout the day, weekly, what I wanted to do. And I, stopped beating myself up that, I didn't have enough time, because that was no longer an excuse anymore. I have all this time, and it's just, you just can't. and ultimately, just prioritize what you want to work on your weaknesses, make some time to create things, make some time for your friends. It's just
making the time for things.
that's it. Like, that's the only excuse. And honestly, as much as as a workaholic as I am, it's okay to take a step back from those things too. And that's something that, I think gratefully because of the COVID, I was able to realize that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate what's happening, but at the same time, we're always running into problems in life. We just have to sort of troubleshoot how we're going to go about
just
fixing
adapt.
things.
You just adapt. That's the only way you go. That's funny how you mentioned you can't be great or perfect at everything. Dude, you're one of the, you touch on so many different things, and you have your projects vary tremendously between them, and it's so cool and so refreshing and such a inspiration, I guess, as a musician, because we get stuck on, I guess people get stuck on like, I gotta be fucking 100% perfect on one thing, and then they forget your weaknesses in other spots. So you're saying you focus on your weaknesses. How do you do that? Do you just self-analyze as you're playing? Do you go back, listen to certain things or videos and go, okay, that's something I need to work on? Or is it seeing other musicians and go, oh shit, they do it that way, and why do I do it this way? Or how did that come to be?
I think a lot of this sort of troubleshooting sort of comes with having a mentor.
Okay.
I think that's really important, for your growth, because and again, this applies to everything. You think that you're on the right path. You think that, you're doing good, or sometimes it's even more extreme, as in, you think you're doing very poorly, or sometimes you just don't even know where to start working at. So, having a mentor sort of helps you reflect on, hey, this is, these are the weaknesses that I'm seeing, so forth. Excuse me. And you have to be really, really open to take that criticism. Another thing is, constantly playing with people. Whether it be a jazz setting, whether it be a blues setting, rock, so forth, you can sort of see, hey, I wasn't so hot in this area, or so forth. Maybe it's not as applicable, say, for example, with some of the metal stuff, because again, it's, really straightforward.
Yeah.
And maybe, you write some of the stuff or so forth, but say in other things that, you're able to see these weaknesses, such as, you're playing the blues and you're improvising or whatever, or you're just playing just, as a duet, or you're playing, all these little circumstances sort of allow for you to just be honest with yourself. It's like, shit, I did really poorly here, so this is what my game plan for the week to correct that. And you're always, sort of, trying to correct it, honestly.
Yeah, it's self-criticism, right?
And it
just shines the light.
Yep. And it's going to be very crippling, and you just have to accept that you're just always going to have to be working on things, if that's your goal.
Yeah, true. You have to know what it takes, I guess.
Because I'm so done trying to beat myself over all this stuff. And I mean, it's okay. It's okay if I don't get extremely good in this area. It's okay. I just want to be better than I was last week. Like, that's just my goal. Ultimately.
That's awesome to hear, dude. That's inspiring. Because I as a guitarist right now, I'm stuck at that place right now in my playing. Is I've seen all my weaknesses, and I'm trying to shine a light on it. But you said it, you nailed it in the head. Having a mentor, having a guy, someone to point those out and lead you to the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to find that right now, because as I said, with playing with other people, that's one of the great things about, even I jam with a lot of people, I have a lot of friends out there, and even just doing this podcast has helped me out a lot, because I get to see a lot of people play. I get to meet a lot of people, hear how they play, see how they play, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. I've never seen anyone do it like that. Or I do it differently, and I start realizing I'm doing it wrong. And I've been doing it wrong for a while. even for simple things like your right hand, even just picking. I'm over here like fuck. I've had a lifetime of I'm not gonna say maybe incorrect, not the right way, but I guess just one dimensional style of picking, and then I'm starting to realize, okay, even holding at a certain position changes everything.
Yeah.
And that's even something I'm starting to do now. I'm going back to just learning the fundamentals. You know, holding a pick. You know, something that a lot of people don't even go back to think about. They go, I've been playing for years. What the hell is holding a pick's gonna do? I'm like, oh, it changes fucking everything. It's wild. At least that's what I've been realizing. But it's cool that you mentioned like, because I wrote it down today. I'm like, because in previous episodes, we've talked about genres being like a language, right? There's people that only speak one language, such as there's people that only play one genre or know how to play one genre. And there's people out there that they try their best to learn as many languages as they can. And like you said, the goal isn't to be fluent in every language. It's just being able to hold maybe a simple conversation, saying hello. It's the same thing with genres.
Yeah.
Right? You can be fluent in blues, but you don't even know say hello in rock, or vice versa, or in jazz, or in country, or in metal, or anything. So I wrote it down here. I'm like, well, there's a word out there for people who know multiple languages. You know, it's a polyglot, and that's what you are, my friend.
Polyglot.
You are a polyglot. You are a polyrhythm polyglot. Like, we were touching right now on your projects that you've been a part of, and like I said, they're all very diverse in their own way. It's not like you have 3 metal bands. No. They're all very different from each other, and they're all done very, very well.
Thank you.
Very well. Like, and we were exchanging messages, and you were talking about the bands you were in. I'm like, damn, the most interesting part of it to me was how much they vary genre-wise. So that led me to think, like, all right, so how did that all start? What got you into music? What led you to it? Because I'm taking the assumption that if I were to go into your music and put it shuffle, it would be very schizophrenic kind of.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right?
I just kind of go with the way that the day, however I feel.
Yeah. So where did that start? How did your music journey start? What got you into music? What?
I know for sure it started off at a very young age. It always seemed I was really big into film growing up.
Okay.
You know, and it seemed like, I mean, there's no really way of knowing, you know, or analyzing at, you know, such a young age, but a lot of the films that I was drawn to, you know, like your Tim Burton films, always seem to have that same sort of soundtrack,
Yeah.
and it's just like, who is this person writing these tunes? And a lot of the tonalities, you know, I was really drawn to.
Okay.
And I always knew that I wanted to play an instrument. I just didn't know, you know, which one I wanted to play. I wanted to pick up the sax at a young age, but I don't think my parents really picked up on that. And then, you know, I wanted to pick up on the violin, but I don't think they really picked up on that. It was until, you know, I really, really started getting into music around middle school.
Okay.
You know, with your whole new metal sort of wave. That was just such a defining moment in my life. You know, listening to Korn for the first time, listening to Mudvayne, Slipknot, so forth. And as the years just sort of kept passing by, you know, I became attracted more to the faster material, you know, a lot of your lead solos, a lot of thrash stuff. Metallica was a big thing in my life. And as I, you know, as I went into high school, once I finally started playing guitar, that's when I found some of your, I guess, say, death metal stuff. That's when, you know, my life totally changed.
That's when you went down the rabbit hole.
Yep. I mean, I remember listening to Necrophagus the first time,
Damn.
Cannibal Corpse. My life wasn't the same anymore after that. That's all I wanted to do, and I just breathed that.
Nice.
And after that, you know, like there was like this sort of weird dwindle. I remember finding Between the Buried and Me for the first time, and I was just like, whoa, I didn't know people could do that.
That kind of shit, yeah.
And then, I started picking up on a lot of emo stuff as well. Like there was like this big contrast. It was just
No,
like,
you're already making a big contrast here.
and just pretty much from there on, man, I was just attracted to more technical stuff, more technical stuff, more technical stuff. And I think, discovering Animals as Leaders was just that defining
That was
moment.
the pinnacle of
That was
this,
just like, I have, in order for me to understand music, like I have to really get into digging music, because I wanted to imitate them as best as I could. And I felt no matter how much my technical abilities rose or how much my understanding of scales or so forth, like I wasn't able to replicate that till I started, digging into jazz.
That's very interesting. That's super interesting, because you went into a transition of technicality, right? Because you started on your new metal stuff, which I love new metal. I hate people that
They're just
fuck
not
with
being
that.
truthful about it, man. Like it just, if you hear Mudvayne and stuff, like there's so much complexity.
I still
in it.
fuck with
Korn,
all those bands,
even though
dude.
you know what, like a lot of my friends tease me about it, but I really really like Limp Bizkit. I think their
Dude.
musicianship is just phenomenal.
They're great, dude.
Yeah.
It's
And if you guys don't like Limp Bizkit, fuck you.
It's just one of those days.
just one of those days, dude.
Everything is fucked. Everybody sucks. You don't really know.
Yeah, dude. I don't like when they fight. Like these bands were dope, and they still are fucking dope.
There's
Dude,
a lot of really cool
to
stuff.
say otherwise, you're fucking lying to yourself. You're just trying to be too cool for fucking school, and it's like, dude, come on now.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. And I mean, I started getting really into that sort of, jazz stuff when I was in Triumph. But again, it's just, I felt that at the moment, like when I was kind of discovering myself, what I wanted to do musically, that's when I decided to step down from the band.
Okay.
I really wanted to sit down and, get mentored. And, I felt like I had all these ideas, but I couldn't really put them into sound until I started understanding music more. And that's when, like I started trying things that weren't necessarily, to my conventional goal at the time, or I guess, exactly what I was looking at. But I started, trying to play other genres. And I think that was a really big point too. I started trying to do cover band stuff, which didn't really go too well. I'd realized, like how bad of a musician I was. I had a hard time playing simple pop. I had a hard time playing cumbias. Like, I didn't know how to play any
Well,
of
that's the
these things.
thing. Like, again, another fucking great point is, like I said, you'll talk to any of these fucking, like the same people that talk shit about new metal. They're the same guys that are like, they're probably most likely into tech death, and I love tech death too. Don't get me wrong. But they'll be the same guys shitting on pop music.
Oh man, like,
yo, play that shit.
believe me, that
Write a
is
pop song.
super
I
hard.
fucking dare you.
Yeah,
If it was that easy, fucking anyone and everyone can do it.
it's so hard, man. Like, it's so hard to play it, and it's just, like, again, like the more I kept getting invested in all these things, like you realize, that you really really lack a lot of stuff, especially rhythm. Like I tell my students that all the time, just like, because I have a lot of really good shredders, like they get so into, I want to play fast, this and that, that it's just like, dude, go play in a setting where you don't have a drummer.
Oof.
That is
really
hard. Like that, it was a nightmare for, I guess, like the past 2 years, like having to start playing jazz like that without drummers, without bass players. You don't realize how much responsibility rhythm is till you are the one that's laying everything down.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, I feel more confident about it. I'm definitely more improved, but it's just like at the beginning, you seriously just want to give up playing sometimes.
Yeah, no, I bet. That's a big challenge. But yeah, I said it's funny. Like people will talk shit, but yo, you do it.
Yeah.
Bet you can't, because if it was that easy, fucking everyone can do it. But that's cool to shout out the rhythm players, because it's very, that's true. It's very important. Like it's mastering those fundamentals.
Yeah, man. And I think, I mean, it's not, again, it's just like, I'm not, directly, saying like it's like a specific thing that happens with, some of the metal players, but I really think that, if they were to put themselves in a setting such as that, they would realize, how important that is. Because I think I'm just way past, just solely being into the soloist or whatever. I like to hear everything as a whole, and then, picking up the bass really allowed me to see, how important groove is, paying attention to everybody. It's really intense, how much there is to music rather than just like velocity or technicality.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, because it's interesting. So you were drawn into the beginning, right? When you got into the music, you were into the technicality of it.
Yeah,
Right, the speed, the
lightning
technicality.
bolt stuff.
It has to be hard.
Yeah, hard to play.
Hard to play.
And I thought that was it to music. Like I thought, but it's such a small fragment of it.
Yeah,
It's not even touching up on everything else, and that's not even a big deal. Like when you really start thinking about it.
yeah. No, yeah, and I started the opposite. I was more into the groove. I was more into the simplicity. I said there's an art to simplicity, right? It's
I think I mean, I don't know. Maybe and I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it just deals with, people's sort of personalities, like
that's true.
the ego just sort of tells you one thing that is just like, this is where it's at. And, once you really get crushed from that, being in, positions that you're unfamiliar with, you do a lot of growing.
It humbles you.
Yeah.
Once you're crushed, it humbles you. That's cool, man. That's what a lot of people should. I think that's what a lot of people need to do. But so, and then it's funny how you mentioned animals as leaders, because I was listening to the iArtifact thing. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like you're very heavily influenced through that. I guess tone wise, anyways.
Cool, thank you.
And it reminded me of it. It's sick, dude. But they were definitely a game changing band as well. Like I think they opened the eyes to a lot of people. In the same way, I guess it did to you, where you had to realize, like, hey, I have to step out.
Yeah, man, and
venture off.
It actually goes even more intense than that. I don't know if maybe I told some of my closer friends, but they don't really care. I'm just kidding. But like, I don't know. I guess, the more that I did I would do some heavy analyzing on animals as leaders. Crazy, from the chord construction to how they use scales. Like I just to the T.
Yeah. And
I even started, thinking it's like maybe there's some sort of hidden message within their songs. And what's crazy is just like I
wouldn't doubt if there was, actually.
Yeah, man. Believe it or not, so on the album The Joy of Motion, there's a song there that really drew me a lot called Lippincott. And I was like, what does that word mean? So I started doing some research on it, and Lippincott is a jazz professor who's actually currently teaching me now. Nice. I'm from Florida. He has a video course entitled The Joy of Playing, which is derived from the joy of motion. So when I downloaded that program and before I started taking lessons with him, he taught me how to organize my practices. And it's like the more that I kept hearing this guy, get involved with music, like he has a way of just explaining things that, you get absorbed into it. Mm-hmm. And that was my first stepping stone into falling in love with jazz. Like thanks to Animals as Leaders, thanks to all these things, like everything was sort of intertwined. It's insane.
Dude, holy shit. That's crazy, man. You're telling me all this, and the only thing I'm picturing is like you're a modern day musical guru, bro. Like you like you found the path, and I don't know, it sounds like you went up this crazy mystical mountain and you just kept on meeting these wise sages, and they kept on giving you more information, and it's crazy how everything intertwines itself like that.
Well, it is.
Right?
It's so insane.
Like,
and you start seeing a lot of these things, especially once you start sort of like Exploring psychedelics.
My brain already goes there, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even need to do psychedelics. Like I said, I'm already picturing it in my fucking head. I see the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, that is so fucking wild.
I love connecting things like that. Like, it's just, I always think that there's a deeper truth. You just have to just keep digging.
Digging, yeah.
Digging.
You not only digging, but keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Like, most people would just, if that were to happen to most people, they would just not even think twice about it, you know? But that is fucking wild.
Dude, I mean, it gets even more, it's pretty intense too. Like, I'll just, I'll bring up this quick little story.
No,
too.
go ahead, please.
Like, with animals as leaders too, a lot of all except for the newest album, I believe, or maybe in the newest album, I don't remember. I haven't listened to it as much as like the other ones, but the last song in each one of their albums is a chapter or something mentioned in the Bible.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not even BSing. Song of Solomon, David, and the Nephil giants. Like there's some sort of reference to it. And again, it's just like this little obsessive kid was just trying to dig in. How can I sound like him? How can I do all these things? It's pretty intense. I mean, I don't know what the story is behind it. I haven't had the chance to talk to them about it, but hopefully one day, I will.
One day. Hey, man, if it doesn't lead to that, it has to. I mean,
Yeah.
that is crazy, man. See, that's the one.
Flip and cut, yeah.
That's it's crazy how all that shit just connects together. They say things happen for a reason, man.
Yeah, and he's just such a good teacher. Like I can't even express, how kind he is. From first, receiving one of the messages, a few years ago, to letting me know like that everything's okay, and mentoring and everything amongst other mentors. But like I think that was again, one of the stepping or the opening doors to you need to get a teacher.
So, at what point did you realize that you needed to find a mentor? And then how did you find a mentor?
I think I've always, I was just kind of this, kid growing up. When I was playing, with Triumph and stuff, like I was always, and you can ask Jay, you can ask a lot of the guys. Like I was always looking up, guitar videos and stuff. I was, particularly obsessed with a lot of those REH videos from the guitar stuff.
Okay.
And I remember hearing Tosin talking about them, and I was just like, I want to do it too. So I just kind of tried to follow his path, like as much as I could, just downloading, listening to the same musicians and everything. And then like after like I hit a slope, and discovering the joy of practicing and all that sort of stuff, I was like, there has to be a really, really, really amazing musicians like within the jazz community here in El Paso. And a lot of these dudes just blew me away. I was like, wow, I'm not as good as I thought at all. And just again, like a lot of crushing experiences. Just I started taking some lessons with one of my friends, JP. He's such a good musician. He's such a good guitar player. One of the guys, Jorge Gonzalez, he has like this this Daft Punk sort of jazz thing going on. Like he's just ridiculous at guitar. Ed Ramos, he plays for Kikimori. He's just like phenomenal. And I would try to visit Professor Mahoney at UTEP just once a month or so forth, again to just correct me and get my ass handed every single time. And I just kept doing that and just playing with people who were better than me all the time. Like I always made sure I was the worst one.
Damn. That's super cool to hear, man. So you already went in with that mentality in mind. It's like, yo, these guys are gonna kick my ass.
Yeah. And it's like that forces you to step up. Otherwise, like you're not gonna be able to play with the big dogs, so to speak.
True. So instead of keeping yourself down, you just kept on pushing.
And I mean, you can honestly, like, you can either back out, Like you can just get sad about it, or you're gonna put in more heavy practicing. And maybe it's not even the heavy practicing, honestly. It's like it's the, what do you call it, the specific practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it's just like you could be practicing 8 hours, and if you're not, if you're not really troubleshooting, or you're not determining what you need, then you're just wasting your time still.
Those 8 hours count for nothing, pretty much.
Pretty much. And that was, a few years of my playing. Like I was just practicing to practice. And Mr. Mahoney, he said something that really resonated with me. He said that a lot of the practicing is everything that you don't want to do. And everything that I always wanted to do wasn't really practicing, because like I always want to practice. So I have to make sure that I always sound like shit when I'm practicing. Therefore, that is practicing.
Yeah, you're the second dude you told me that, because I was talking to I don't know if you know Davo. I was talking to Davo.
Oh yeah, I'm so fond of his playing. He's
phenomenal.
He's so good, man. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Too.
No, and then that's such the cool thing about having this podcast right now is that every guest I've had I've looked up to, including yourself. And like I said, I feel like I'm standing on the footprints of giants here, because you guys are only gonna get fucking better each and every day. By the time if I even get to the level you are right now, you will be one of the big dogs by then.
Cool.
And it's just cool to know that I can go, I know that guy. Yeah.
I think it's just, again, just about having the specific goals, man. Like,
True.
With what you want to do, like, even with somebody just saying that, it's just like, what do you really want? Like, I forgot who was talking about it. Again, it's just like, because I listen to a lot of motivational speakers and so forth, positive affirmations. I get a lot of concepts from that.
A PMA, dude, PMA to the fucking grave.
This guy was talking about how, and again, it's just like, this can be applied to anything that you do. He said that supposedly he went on like 2 days without doing anything, and he just had a sheet of paper in his hand the whole time. And he said that he wasn't going to allow himself to do anything for the rest of the year or whatever weeks until he found out what his purpose was.
Damn.
And it's like, when you have such focus and it's like, this is what I want to do, so forth, you try to see how you're going to get to that spot or whatever. And that's the same thing with some of the musical stuff, like, say for example, if you want to get really good as a writer, like, what are you doing this other stuff that's, pulling you away from it? Like, you just try to do that as best as you can, to however time, is accessible. And again, it's like, this is something that sort of, happened. It would happen to me a lot. It's like, oh, I have to get good at reggae. Oh, I have to get good. And then it's like, I just started sounding like shit in each little area without really being honest. And it's just like, well, why do I want to learn how to play classical guitar if, I'm not as into it as this other thing? It's like, who cares if I can't play it? Like, that's okay if, I'm just not good at it. And it's part of that honesty again. Just like, I don't have to be good at everything. Or it's like, I don't know, something else like thrash or something. It's like, I like the genre, but it's like, that doesn't mean that like I'm supposed to know how to play it or something. And again, it's just an example. It's just, you got to be honest with what you want to do, because there's a bunch of shit like I can't do, and it's okay. Like, I don't beat myself up over it anymore. It's just like, I just don't look at that part of my playing.
Yeah. It's just focusing on what
my goal is.
What the goal is.
I want to write music, and I want to get really good at jazz stuff. Like, that's my goal. So everything is just going to be, sort of, catering towards how I'm going to get there.
When you started getting into jazz, was that when you got introduced to Animals as Leaders? Was that your introduction to jazz?
That's what I thought was, like, because I would hear Tosin talk a lot about jazz, and I was just like, whoa, maybe that's how he sort of got his sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I started kind of digging into it, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, I knew it sounded cool, but like, I guess it was so beyond like harmonically out there that I didn't know what was going on till I really started I tried to do a gig like that. Like I didn't know what was going on and so forth. I
Mm.
barely understood some of my jazz chords or whatever. And I started being brave about going to the gigs, and I had some of the worst gigs of my life like that. But there was no way of knowing if I was doing the right or wrong thing till,
Unless you did that.
and there I started understanding the language and so forth. Digging back into the blues, I think that that's something that should be studied
Mm-hmm.
to just to understand every other genre of music, country, what do you call it, pop music, rock music, jazz. It's something, it's kind of like you're looking back into history and seeing how everything sort of built the foundation and so forth. Like we dig into history so that we don't commit the same mistakes or so forth, or to see how advanced we've, and that's the same thing with blues. Once you understand how it's being built, you sort of see all these connections with, like, okay, pop music took this from this, country music, jazz took this from this. And again, jazz is such a technical thing, but if you don't have that foundation laid down, then you're just not going to get it.
Right. So it's not something you can just jump. I mean, yeah, I guess you just can't just jump into it with a full understanding.
Exactly. And that was something that I didn't know. Even
Okay.
and again, like, I had to really like step back, and I thought that I knew how to play blues, but I didn't know anything till like I really, really started listening, and I really, really started, getting familiar with the language more, even getting mentored on it. Like, it's things that, we're so simplistic looking at back now, but, there was no way I could fake playing the blues. There was no way I could fake playing jazz. I look at some of the videos, from back then, and I kind of cringe. I'm just like,
Cringy.
whoa, like I had a lot of balls, like, trying to fake it.
Yeah. No, you think you nailed it right in the head. I think that's what a lot of people do is just fake it. They try to just jump in it, thinking they know what it's about.
Oh, now yeah, man, and
Right?
it's scary to get
It's
shut down.
It's jumping into deep waters,
Yeah, man, like
thinking you could swim, and then the sharks show up.
some of my gigs, like, honestly, like they went so bad. Like, I was really like, I didn't want to play guitar anymore. Like, I was just like, maybe I should just stick to teaching, like, because I'm not for this. I'm not gonna mention one of the mentors, but one of these guys, like, he got so upset at me playing one of the gigs, he threw his bass at me, and he walked out, and I was playing at a restaurant.
Oh damn!
That was one of the most embarrassing moments, like, I've ever had. And we're good friends now and everything, but it was just like, you need to get your shit together if you want to play this kind of stuff. Like, you disappointed me, and it's like you make it seem like you're practicing. And again, it's one of those things, like, you're just like, well, I thought I was practicing. And it's like, well, now that this gig went so wrong, it's like, what went wrong about it? Like, you just start.
It's just analyzing yourself and
Exactly.
working on that shit.
And there's these things that you can't know till you have to step into it. Like, you're going into war every time.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, it's true. It's like I was saying that what David told me. If you're having fun practicing, you're not practicing.
Cool.
That's what he told me. He's like,
Hell yeah,
he's like, if you're having fun
why that
practicing,
guy's so good.
you're not practicing. He's like, you should be fucking miserable.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely fucking right. And that's what I need to start doing, because I stopped doing that for a while. I really fucking did. But it's cool to hear that, man. It's motivational. It really is. Of pushing yourself out of that fucking comfort zone. Knowing you're going to get your ass beat, but you got to get up.
Yep.
And you got to prepare for the next ass whooping. And then the next ass whooping.
Every time.
Until the day comes that you're the one whooping ass. But that's what's exciting to see, man. It's exciting. It's going to be exciting to see you get there. It's going to be exciting for me going, hey, we had this conversation.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I don't cripple myself with you got to practice more and so forth.
No, but still, I mean, you're doing something. You're doing something right, man. And it's cool to hear, because, like I said, it sounds like you have such a range of music taste. And that's not only range in music taste, but now you have an understanding of those music tastes.
Yeah, man. It's been really fun. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned too, like, on a side note. So I play for a cumbia band too.
There you go. Like, like that's wild, man.
Dude, that's so yeah. It's fun though, but it's like it's really hard too, like because I wasn't used to playing it. But
What-
again, you just kind of like you start adapting, you know, like you start okay, so what is it that's needed in cumbia and so forth,
Okay.
and more like again that changes your practice like on a weekly and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like hey, I'm gonna play a maybe like a pop gig this week, so it's like you have to mold your practice into like okay, I can't be fucking around trying to play shred because that's not
Okay.
gonna
Like
you
I
know.
said, man, fucking polyrhythm polyglot. Like, it's like working on your accent. That's pretty much what you're doing. You're just gonna like, I'm gonna have this French gig. I need to work on my French accent.
Yeah.
Like, when you started playing guitar, did you have the idea in mind of going, you know what, I want to play in a cumbia band and a fucking prog band and a black metal band and
Nah, man. I was always way too proud. Like to, I always saw it, you know, and I'm completely wrong about it, and it was really childish. But I always saw it like as super demeaning to be playing other people's music.
okay,
On the contrary, with jazz, like jazz, I've always held up really high. But I used, yeah, I mean, and I feel like such a child. Like, oh, you know, cover bands are stupid or whatever.
no, but I mean, you're not the only one. I think for anyone to tell me that they weren't, I'm just assuming you're lying to me.
Yeah, man, and it's like,
I think everyone in their youth had that elitist mentality of this is my shit.
yeah.
If it's not this, then I don't touch it.
It's hard. Like I think it's really, really, really time consuming, and it's like again, like once you kind of catch the rhythm of it, like how things go, like you can adapt to it. But
Until then,
yeah, like I mean, and it's really fun. Like I like to do those kind of gigs too. But it was just you know like you have, yeah, it becomes this sort of job too. You know, like you can't just you know diminish it because it's not to your musical liking or what.
yeah,
It's just, you know, you have to devote some time to it. Again, if I have, you know, like a cumbia thing, you know, coming up to play on a weekend or something like that, like I dedicate my 2-3 hours, like just playing that. And it's just like, even though I might have other weaknesses, like catering towards like blues, jazz, whatever, you know, else that I truly want to do is just like, that doesn't matter. It's like, this is what I'm going to prioritize. And that's what I'm going to be playing this
you
weekend.
prioritize your time.
Yeah.
It's like I'm playing cumbia.
And that was really hard, like because I failed really miserably, you know, trying to play in cover bands, not just kind of doing my own shit just because I thought I was above that. And then once I kept getting my ass handed every time and ultimately getting kicked out was just, you know, like it was a big revelation to me, like whoa, like I don't know how to practice.
Yeah. No, it's just the truth. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, cover bands. I don't think people give them enough credit as they
Yeah,
should.
man, they work super hard. I think it's one of the bands that you know, like I've really beyond had to work really hard with, and it's like even at that, it's just like I had to work ultimately more hard, and then it just everything's can be really hard. You just have to really,
Keep pushing.
yeah, man.
So, what got you? You said you wanted to play the saxophone, the violin. What led you to the guitar?
That
What
it was there.
That was it.
Ultimately, that was it. My grandfather had a guitar at his house, and I would just kind of noodle with it, not you know truly commit. I believe it was like when I was like my last year of middle school or so forth. One summer, one of my friends, he would come over with an acoustic guitar a lot, and we were all into similar music growing up. So he just kind of started showing me a song at a time, and there, like I just never stopped after that.
It was a rabbit hole.
Yeah, my cousin was really into playing, so like we would jam out with drummers, like have our like fake Metallica jam sessions and stuff. You know, just trying to always find my band, but it's like it took me like I ultimately always ended up playing by myself, no pun intended.
Isn't that all middle school boys?
Yeah. I could just never, you know, set up my band for whatever reason till you know, like I had the opportunity to be with Triumph. I think that was like one of the most defining moments in my life where I was just sort of like screw school, like I'm gonna put my whole heart into this and everything, and it changed me.
How did you meet these guys?
I I'd been going to shows for a while. One of my closer friends at the time, like originally played guitar with them. Um, and another friend also had played guitar with him, and for I believe Andrew like had to go to music school or something like that. So I'd reached out to the guys, like I I want to do it. And at the time, I was just like, oh, I can do this so easy. Again, just like that little kid sort of time. And it's like it was really funny looking at it now. I had never really played with a band or anything to think that I could, be
Just
in
jump
such
in.
a high caliber band, like beyond like the work ethic and everything. Like I had a lot of trouble playing with the guys for the first year. Like at any moment, I saw myself getting kicked out.
No, that fucking Triumph, man. Triumph was a not only local, but especially here locally, was such a freak of nature of a band.
Yeah, man, they were monstrous. Like just the work ethic, the the riffage, how many shows we do, like compositionally, like everything was there.
No, everything was there. Like, shout out to all the guys from Triumph, from when it started to where it ended. Like I said, a freak of nature of fucking band. Till this day, still to this day, one of the, I don't know what's the word, but one of the foundations and one of the bands that almost every band here looked up to and set as an example of going, yeah, Triumph's big. Triumph are the guys. And like I said, that work ethic was there
Yeah.
from everybody, and everyone saw it, and it was quite intense. As intense as the music was, as intense the work that all you guys put in it. Because it's quite intense fucking music. One question I've always wanted to ask: what kind of inspired Triumph? What was the music that when we want to do this? What was the goal? What was the?
I think, Jay and Eric had a very sort of clear image on what they wanted to do.
Mhm.
And when I joined, like I was sort of, I guess, helping, mold the vision.
Mhm.
Again, like we all like very similar bands. Sometimes, we would clash about, it's like, oh, I want to sound more like this, this, and that. But ultimately, I think, having as much of a diverse taste, but still like within itself, we kind of blended this sort of, controlled chaos sort of sound, again, because say, for example, like Eric liked to do very sporadic technical stuff. Like Jay's just
Jay's a fucking
fucking
monster.
insane. Like I was always very like, it's gotta be really neat like this, but groovy. And then, bass players, Miguel, Corey, again, everybody sort of brought their own thing to it. Robert, the vocalist, like at the time, he was very specific on, what sort of like groovy hip hop feel he wanted to bring to it. Everybody,
Had their taste to it.
so we would all just sort of build up on that. I would say a lot of Dillinger, a lot of Meshuggah,
Okay.
a lot of what? A lot of hardcore influence. I'm not too familiar, but I know like Jay and Eric, that was like a big part of their sound. A lot of Converge, a lot of Into the Mode. And I slowly, getting drawn into a lot of the jazz stuff. Like I try to apply that.
Okay. So that leads to a lot of things here.
Yeah.
Because controlled chaos. I think that sums the sound of Triumph was. Because I remember seeing that band the first time I ever saw them. The first time I played with them was at a old place called the Rock House. Not the one that's right now, but the old one that was downtown. I don't know if you ever went there.
I don't. I mean, I think
It
I
was-
went there, but I don't think I was playing with them.
It
at
was
the
right
time.
in front of a fire station.
Oh shoot! Let me see. I think I know what you're. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
remember.
It was a while back. This is when they, I guess they almost started because my old band Marching Doom, we kind of started almost the same time. And I remember seeing them play for the first fucking time. and the only thing we could fucking focus on was just Jay
Yeah, man.
being an
He's
absolute fucking monster behind the kit.
he's insane, man. Like I don't know. I don't know how he does it. He's just
We
got
were-
a lot to say.
We
on
weren't
his
fucking
drums.
on, dude. We weren't fucking on. We were like, I don't remember if we played before or after, but if it was after, we didn't want to play.
Yeah, man. It's just him and Eric, like they had
Eric,
just
too, is
such a way of like
insane.
complementing each other.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think like they were, and I mean they still do it now. It's different now. Like just hearing it as a listener's perspective, but like seeing them just like always like
They
eating off of each other.
they
Like
clicked so well.
It was really intense to see that.
No, it
Like
was
that kind of musicianship's like even playing with other musicians now and stuff like I've ran into very few relationships like that, like musical unity. It's insane.
I think everyone like it's a challenge as a musician to be able to play with others, right? That's
Yeah.
already a different skill as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can be an at-home musician and play by yourself, great. The second challenge would be to play with others, because there's going to be clashes sometimes. There's going to be times where you just don't work well together. It doesn't click right away. And then there's times where you'll just click with a certain someone so well. I think everyone has that one person that they go, this is the guy. This is my guy right now.
Yeah.
Like this, we just click together well, and it just happens, right? But you can't be complacent with it either. You just still have to challenge yourself and work with others. But then you were talking about how you're already influenced with your jazz playing skills and everything. How did you try to incorporate that into other genres, specifically in such of a chaotic, heavy band like Triumph?
I mean, and again, like honestly, like back then, like I thought I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's like still till now, like I'm kind of discovering what jazz is.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm gonna go my whole life trying to figure it out. It's like
Of course.
puzzling question.
You're never gonna be able to say I know jazz.
But just simple explorations with like, oh, these are the kind of scales that they use, or these are the kind of chords that they use, just trying to replicate that. And I mean, that's totally cool. Again, that's your first introductory step into getting into something. Like you start exploring it like that. Even though I might have not known what was going on, theoretically or what, it's just like you try to make sense of it by composing something of it.
Putting it in practice.
Yeah. And I think that's, a lot of people forget to do or don't know that they're supposed. Well, I don't know about supposed to, but I think you understand better once you try to explore it. Even if like, hey, you're only supposed to do this, is just like ultimately as exploration, how you dig into sound and try to make sense of it, even if it just makes sense to you.
Yeah. It's like learning a new word and not knowing what it really means.
How to apply it or what.
But you just put it in the sentence, and someone's gonna tell you that's not that's not how you use that word.
Yeah.
It's not what it means.
Or seasoning, like I guess something more applicable with food. It's like, oh, you're not supposed to put this condiment on this, but it's like, how can you make it work? Ultimately, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's a recipe.
Yeah,
a guide to tone, if you will.
And I think like again, like I started exploring or digging more deep into that with some of that harmony. When I started doing iArtifact, again is just even though it might have just been like a touch of it, like I started exploring it. I think that it's more like I think you can harmonically distinguish it more, believe it or not, with the black metal project. That's when I really started digging into jazz harmony.
Interesting.
And I was like, I wanted to write something that was black metal, but using my understanding of jazz harmony at the time.
So cool transition, because you just mentioned two projects right there. iArtifact. How did that come to be? Were you already writing stuff like that, and then just like, hey, let's just go with this, or
that was my attempt to, kind of have a band where everybody sort of had the same vision, and we just kind of started writing like that, like as a band, because that's all I had really known at the time. Like being with Triumph and so forth. I was used to writing as a unit and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of fed off of each other. Like Benny was guitar player. He was really into the same kind of music, like your Chan sort of stuff. I really liked Animals as leaders. Bass player was like super like Evan Brewer driven. Like everybody almost seemed to be into the same stuff. Is just like waiting to come out.
No, it sounds like it sounds exactly like that. It sounds like everyone was a unit and knew exactly what they were there for.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenal, dude. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, man. And I think like once started digging a little bit more into who I wanted to do drums, Bryce Butler like just fucking killed it with the drumming. He's just such a good dude. And then getting other friends to help me out with it, from my friend, sax player, throwing in some sax lines, throwing in some like keyboard lines. Another really good friend of mine, putting up with my shit, like doing vocals, just to, like just kind of, sort of enabling me to do crazy stuff. Sometimes, it's just like, I feel like I go too out there and it's just like, no, what are you doing? It's like, it's okay. Just let me explore.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah.
No, it sounds tight, dude. It sounds like everyone was working as a unit. It sounds like everyone had the same goal in mind, and it just worked really, really well. Like, yeah. So I was jamming it today, and I think this one's right here is my favorite song from you guys.
It sounds like Luis Miguel.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Yeah, Benny wrote most of the tune. I would always tease him about that.
Now I can't fucking hear that. Now I'm just like, querida.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
But it goes hard afterwards too, though.
Yeah,
like, that's the.
It's a good song.
Like, I was jamming this and I'm like, fuck, this is real nice. And then it kicks in. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Was it Crepuscular Light? Sounds like a very fancy light beer.
Yeah.
For those who want a prog taste.
Prog beer.
Now let's go on to the black metal band.
Cool.
Which I can't pronounce. So I'll have you.
Hunhau Mitnal. Which is
Mitnal.
basically this word I came up with to have this sort of like Mayan or Aztec theme band. So it's like, and I forget which word was what, but it's like, say Hunhau is supposed to be the last layer of this sort of like Aztec Mayan hell, and then Mitnal is supposed to be the demon controlling it. So like bonding the words created that.
Black metal's fuck.
Yeah, man. I think I started really digging into black metal when I started and again, it's just like I dig the music, and I dig all sorts of music. It's just like after a while, like I think that some of the metal or some of like your gentle progressive sort of having too many similarities to it. Mm-hmm. So when I started really digging into black metal, I really liked the rawness of it, like how it wasn't processed as much. Like it's like you got this almost emotional feeling of what they were going through, because it was so raw. And I became very, very fond of that sound. It's like, some people would be like, it just sounds very shitty, the quality or so forth.
Yeah,
but that's what gave it its identity.
It does sound like it was recorded through a potato, but
and I love it. It
was a very sad potato,
or like the back of like a Burger King bathroom or whatever.
It was a poor French fries were thrown in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, man. Like I like any day I would rather listen to black metal than death metal.
I'm a huge black metal fan too, and it's because of that. It's because it's
in the moment.
It's such an emotional kind of genre.
Yeah,
it's so raw that if you get it, you get it. If you don't,
keep listening to it till you get it.
Until you get it, right? And I think you have to be, at least for me, when I listen to black metal, I wish I could remember who it was first, that the one I listened to, but I think you have to be in the right mindset for it at the time
Yeah.
for it to actually really click. It's kind of almost like the blues,
Yeah. I concur with that.
right? Because it's if you don't get it,
It's like, have you ever heard that band? Man, I might be mispronouncing their name, but it's like they're called Zeal and Ardor. So check it. So it's these guys
check
that
it.
like do black metal, but with blues.
Okay,
And it's like it complements, and it's not
now you have my
cheesy.
attention.
Like it really complements, you know what the sound like, the sadness, this sort of like, I don't know. I could picture, the discrimination. Like it's just a lot of hate, a lot of sadness, a lot of like, wow, like I get your story, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
And I feel like that with black metal a lot, especially like looking at other countries, like say like Norway. I mean, we have the luxury to believe whatever we want or so forth.
Right.
But in other countries, like Europe or so forth, even though, I mean, say you can believe whatever you want or so forth, I feel like it's more thrown at your face. Like it's just like it's inevitable to not force you to believe, like this whole sort of like religious
mm-hmm.
idea. And like the big thing about black metal is just speaking out against that, sort of like the same way that punk does it.
I was about to connect it to punk too.
Yeah, man. And it's like, I'm not gonna get too into the subject, but like I feel that that's something that I wanted to bring into black metal. Like I feel like pedophilia doesn't get like a stand against it, and that's what I wanted to do with black metal. Like this is unacceptable. Like I don't tolerate this shit, and I felt that that's what ultimately could give it a voice.
Right, and that's the thing too. I think that's why I'm fond of. I listen to almost everything, right? And I try to now. Because again, I was pretty elitist back in the day too.
Yeah.
Now I like to listen to everything. Now I'm fond of almost every kind of music. Like, but the ones that really, really resonate with me have always been punk rock, black metal, hardcore, and I think because all those genres give a voice.
Yeah, man.
I
agree.
There is a reason for it.
Like they give you hope.
Yeah, they give you hope. They give you something to listen to. It has a message. It has a reason to be there. It's not to be a top 10, top 40 hit. It's not to be the most brutal guy in the room. It is to speak your voice, speak your opinion, yell it through the microphone, and hope someone's fucking listening.
Yeah.
You know? So is that what made you want to go into doing black metal?
That's initially what I wanted to do with that project. Once I got people involved into it, like it kind of took its own way. Like, and I mean, that's, like I respect that. That was just like something that I wanted to do, but like that was initially my intention. Like that's why I wrote the music.
Okay.
Again, everybody just, not to say like we disagreed on stuff, but it's like, vocalist wanted to do, he wanted to have a voice like within the lyrics. So it's like, cool, bass player, again, own thing. Marco Petrozelli like had his own intention of like doing his own thing like with it. So, and that's totally cool. Like maybe at some other point, like I can do that sort of project, but at the time, that's why I wanted to do it.
It just leaves for future projects, man.
Mm-hmm.
How was it working with Lord Marco himself, man?
With Marco, I'd been homies with him for a while. Like again, it's just like everybody like within the I guess metal community or so forth, or the extreme or death metal, what you call it. Like we're such a small community that it's kind of like we all have to be friends. Like why are we dividing up ourselves, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I've always liked a lot of the material that he wrote, like particularly when he was in Anomalous. Like Anomalous was just like a game changer for me as a kid. And I'm gonna give him a huge shout out. Like there were some of the guys that got me into like the very extreme music, like listening to Ion Dissonance, who was Meshuggah, who was Dillinger. Like they really showed me the way.
Yeah.
So like I hold him up so high, and Marco was a part of that project at the time. So I just started talking to the guys, like as if, they were just regular dudes. And throughout that built upon a friendship. And I decided to reach out to Marco. Like, I'm just like, I've never heard this guy do black metal. Like, it would be really cool to get his taste on it.
Yeah.
So
That
it
was going to be
became
my
his
point, because
first black metal project, and it was pretty sick. I loved it.
yeah, that was going to be my point to it, because again, everything he's done has just been very extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you'll say death metal,
Yeah.
right? But I've never heard him in a black metal project, and yeah,
We joked about doing like an emo project, but I just never came around to it. And I wanted to do like a thrash project, but it just I just kind of like talked out of my ass.
Hey man, but hey, you're already part of a controlled chaos band, call it metallic hardcore if you will, on Triumph, fucking prog and artifact, black metal, and then you do your jazz thing. Why not thrash? Why not another black metal project?
Yeah, that would be fun. I'm considering like maybe something kind of like lo-fi. I've been feeling lo-fi a lot.
There you go. Why not lo-fi? Anything really.
I just gotta sleep less
I'm already,
to write more.
because I'm shooketh with all the things you've been doing. Like I said, every single one of them is done very well. Like, it's not like, it doesn't sound like it's an attempt,
Cool, thanks.
or I'm trying to. No, it sounds like a fucking band.
Cool, thank you.
It sounds like an actual songs, like the way that's supposed to be done. And like I said, if you guys haven't heard it already, go listen to all of them, and you're gonna go, one guy wrote this shit. That's crazy, but it's done very, very fucking well. I'm just excited to see what else you'll be doing, man. What comes in the future? Because like I said, it sounds like you're very musically inclined. You know so many genres. Listen to a lot of things. What would be one thing that you would think people would be surprised that you listen to, or your guilty pleasure?
Man, I don't have any guilty pleasures. I'm not ashamed of anything. But let me see. I mostly listen to a lot of jazz stuff. Like, that's just my kind of go-to thing. I think my musical taste just kind of changes on a weekly, but jazz kind of like remains this thing. I do have a lot of, I guess, dude, I like a lot of Pixar stuff.
All right, there you go.
Like, sometimes I find myself jamming out that stuff, or like, man, I like a lot the 90s pop stuff. 90s R&B, like your Destiny's Child, like all that.
Don't get me started in that shit.
Man, I like that stuff a lot. Yeah, I can't even lie. I don't drink anymore, but like during a lot of the drinking episodes, I would find myself listening to a lot of Tigres del Norte, like heavy.
That's just good. Like, that's just good drinking music, man.
Yeah, man, a lot of Jose.
Yes. All right.
Luis Miguel. I mean, just pretty much everything. I think I'm generally cool with almost everything except reggaeton. Like, that's the only thing, and I don't bash on it. I just don't.
You don't get it.
It doesn't resonate with me.
Same. I almost do the same thing because it just doesn't click.
I listen to a lot of country now.
Yeah.
Like, I really like country, and it's something that I would have probably been like hitting myself had my younger version been hearing me listen to that, but the musicians are just so phenomenal. Like, I can't help but like.
It's something that I'm starting to like as well. Because I used to say, I fuck with everything except for country. But
there's some good stuff, man. Like,
actually having to listen to it, like people at work listen to it.
Yeah.
And at first you just roll your eyes and go, oh, shit. And then you keep on listening to it. Next thing you know, you're singing along to it. You know the song and you go, fuck, this is a banger. Like, you can't deny a good song. If it's a good song, it's a good fucking
man.
song.
And like, I also get like a bunch of shit over it, but I'm super, super fond of Billie Eilish. I love
Dude, she's
all her
fucking
work.
Great. I'm glad you said it too, because
and it's thanks to my students, and it's like I really like a lot of that stuff. Like, I'm just super, super fond of her. Like, she's so amazing.
No, she's fucking great. Like, people just talk shit, so you have them telling like, oh well, I guess this is shit. But my girl loves it, and she jams it here all the time, and I'll just be here sitting on the couch and listening to it. I'm like, fuck, this is a really good song. Who is this?
This is lit.
And she's like, it's Billie Eilish. I'm like, fuck, this is it's lit. It's fucking dope shit, man. All right, man. So, what can we expect from you in the future? What's on the plans? What can we be looking for?
All right. So, I just finished the skeletal stuff to the iArtifact stuff. I'm waiting to get the drums finished. Actually, I'm gonna have Jay do it from No
Nice.
Suffer X Triumph. I think that it's gonna give it this totally different spin to it. Once the drums are laid out, then I'm gonna have a few friends lay down some same sort of concept vocals, saxophone. I'm thinking about maybe throwing in some sitar in there.
Ooh,
Got to finish up the solos and then that's it. But everything is pretty much ready to go.
the skeleton's on, just putting the meat.
Yep, that's the hardest thing. Always the skeletal.
The broth is in. You just have to
Yeah.
put everything else in.
I didn't get a chance to finish the black metal project. I was finishing. This is just like random writing, so maybe next year, hopefully. I'm gonna keep going hard with the jazz stuff, with the cumbia band. Hopefully next year. I really want to have shows with them.
How did the cumbia thing come to be? Did it just
One of my friends, actually two of my friends, one of my friends whom I'm regularly doing jazz sort of stuff with, a sax player, he plays for those guys. And one of these musicians that I play with on a regular, this Cuban guy, he's just off the charts. Like, he's really good bass player, really good keyboard player. Somehow he landed that gig and he suggested me. And at first I really wanted to back out of it. I was just like, again, that sort of pride. But I was just like, if I'm able to do this, like, this will just present more opportunities and
true?
I can ultimately back down. Well, not back down, but diminish, the amount of work that I have to do because it pays a lot better. So I could dedicate more time to practicing, composing, and that's what I want,
Right.
ultimately.
So how does I'm curious to see
What's
how
that?
I'm curious how your brain works, dude. Like, it's in my tiny brain, it does barely fits to think about it. Like, you have all this cool stuff going on. When you write, like you said, you practice what you're supposed to practice for a certain goal, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you're gonna practice for cumbia, you focus on cumbia. During that time, how are you thinking about writing or composing for your own projects? Do you make time for that as well, or is it just throughout practice something comes up and you go, "Oh, this is interesting. Let's save that for a little bit for later."
That's a good question.
Like, I'm trying to, I'm trying to think how that works. You know what I mean? Like I said, your bands are they range in such amount different genres. And like I said, like I had a lot of people be like, "Oh, ask how he incorporates jazz."
So
I don't
check it,
I don't
like-
think it doesn't sound to me like you forcefully try to incorporate jazz into a certain thing. Right?
Check it out. Like, I think this is how it works. There's this project that I did guitars for. I spent like about a month working for these guys called Flesh of the Enslavement. I think they're going to be releasing their album or their EP this Friday.
Flesh of
So-
the Enslavement.
Like, they said, this is the kind of sound that we want and so forth. And I was just like, again, I just kind of being kind of fearful. I wanted to back out of it. I was like, I haven't really been playing death metal, thrash, or whatever for a while. So I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do. And I think that, again, getting back to that sort of Seinfeld reference where he says that, like, you're going to write something, but you can't look back at it. So I went in with that mentality. I was like, okay, so I'm going to write these songs. Like, I'm going to dedicate an hour once a day to writing, and I cannot look back at it. Like, I can't correct it. As much as I want to, like, I'm not going to. So I would spend, like, whenever I would go to the gym or what, like, I would listen to some death metal, and I just, whatever comes out. Like, I can't be hard on myself. Like, it's just going to happen. And I remember reading a lot about, say, Buckethead or Frank Zappa. Devin Townsend, like they write a lot of stuff that they don't like, but it's like the goal is to write it. Like you cannot look back at it. Like you just have to trust that you're gonna do a good job, and that's how I do it.
Damn.
Like now that's what I've been doing, and I've been writing a lot more. It's like, say with iArtifact stuff, like even listening to my own song, like I consider that a part of the writing process. Like it's like only 1 hour, I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna correct whatever I need, and then I can't look back at it for the rest of the day. And then the next day I go in with a different perspective. And that's how I think works for me, and that's how I'm able to keep getting things done. Because otherwise I would spend 2-3 hours and it, pretty much like throwing all my stuff away when then I listen to, different versions the following day, and it's like, it wasn't that bad. I'm just being absurd at this moment, or like I'm beating myself up. And I think that works. And there's days, like, honestly too, where like I just can't come up with anything, but that's still part of the process. Then the next day it's like, okay, maybe I'll listen to a little bit more different kind of music, and then it'll help with it. Like there's no way that you can't come up with something if you listen to that much music. Like there's no way.
True.
I spend so much time listening to so much music, like I have to have an idea. It's just that I'm too harsh on myself, or I think that's how, musicians might kind of see it.
So you go into the challenge of writing. Do you challenge yourself to writing in a specific way?
Whatever comes out.
Whatever comes out.
Yeah.
It's just you're going to write something today.
Yeah.
And then depending whatever the fuck you're
Yeah.
feeling or what you're listening to that day.
Whatever comes out. Like if I feel like writing black metal, then maybe that might drift me a little bit away from what I'm doing with this project or what. But that's okay, because it's like you got to keep the momentum.
Damn. Do you... That's fucking wild, dude. Like, that's...
Because it's like it's a form of practicing, like practicing composition. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like, because if you rob yourself from not composing something, it's like, oh, it sounds too blah 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 or blah blah blah. It's like you're robbing yourself from, giving creative time and creative practice. So you just have to do it. Like even if it sounds cheesy or what, just go with it. Maybe it might sound cool to somebody else, but who cares? It's just like, it's just part of what it is. Like not everything that you're gonna write is dope, and that's okay.
good. That's okay.
It's like, who cares? It's like, oh, I didn't like your song. Okay, cool.
Whatever.
It's like, I don't give a fuck.
So you just go, I'm gonna write something today.
It's like,
1
cool.
hour.
I didn't like the song. It's like, cool. I didn't like it either. Fuck you.
Fuck you. That's so fucking funny. Do you record them? Do you save them later, or do you just go, fuck it?
I try to do sometimes I'll do some Guitar Pro stuff, like if I'm ever trying to do like little synth parts or whatever, or like mapping out chords or whatever. But generally, like I'll just plug in and just whatever happens. Like I'll spend maybe like half of the time with guitar and then half of the time with like bass, and just whatever happens, man. Like I just trust that, something's gonna happen. And again, if it doesn't happen, like I won't beat up myself for the rest of the day or what. It's just like maybe I need more ideas.
Do you save them for later? Do you go?
Yeah,
this
like
part's
I have
on
all
record?
my files like that. And then it's like, if I change something the following day, then it's like, it's okay, because that's what I felt that day. Then the next day, it's like, okay, cool. Like this change gave me a new idea and so forth.
Do you save them in specific like folders and you go, this one's not?
Yeah,
like
this is like,
so...
it's like, oh, ideas that might be going for my next album, or ideas that might be going for a potential black metal, or ideas that this, and that.
That is fucking
because
crazy.
all the big guys, I think, like listening to interviews, do stuff like that. I'm particularly like super fond of Paul from Cynic.
Okay.
He says that he does that, like he has like, and I mean that guy he's so monstrous. Like
Yeah.
he says that he writes every single day. I mean, I don't know how long he does it for, but he says he has like files and files and files from like back in like early 90s or what. And sometimes like when he feels like he has enough ideas collected, like him and the guys, like they'll just kind of go through the files, and it's like, these are the ideas that we want to use for this album, and then they'll build upon that.
So like this segment's cool, this riff is cool, that one's trash, throw that out, and then you can just
and maybe if it's trash for like Cynic or something, he might use it for something else. Yeah, and that's okay too. Or maybe you don't have to use it at all. Like it's just you're the one that decides what to do with it.
Damn, dude.
Because, I mean, if you look at, like Frank Zappa, Buckethead, like, they would write so much freaking music, like, they can't honestly like everything they write.
That's true.
I think that they just have that mentality. Like, I'm gonna write today this song, and it's like, if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. Like, my point is to be a composer, and I'm gonna keep writing.
Wow. That's inspiring. I need to try that.
Yeah, and I think, and that happens also too with like a lot of the jazz stuff too. Like when you're improvising, dude, there's a lot of times where like I feel horrible about what I did, but it's I can't take it back. Like I improvised
You
there,
already did it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like that's developed this sort of freedom. You know, like it's okay. Like you're not gonna always sound good, and
That's such a crazy part in jazz too. Is just the improvising. It's like
Yep.
it's like playing hot potato. And you go.
yep.
And you're
And
like,
you
"Oh,
can
sh-
literally
okay."
just die there, but it's cool. It's okay. It's part of the process.
That's kind of what life is.
Yep.
Life is improvising.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. All right, dude. Well, we'll leave it at that. I still have so much things to go, so hopefully we can do a part 2.
Cool. Yeah, for sure.
I had fun. I still need to pick your brain more. Like,
For
there's,
sure.
there's so much stuff. What do you want to plug, man? What do you want people to know? Where do you want people to find you?
Let's see. So I got all the Spotify stuff, YouTube stuff, iTunes under iArtifact or i-artifact, black metal stuff, Hunhau Mitnal. Again, it's like it's up on each one of those streams. If you want to catch me playing some of the jazz stuff, you can add me on Instagram. I'm usually trying to play as much around as I can. Let me see what else I got. Triumph stuff should still be up on Bandcamp, YouTube. Really cool stuff. If you're into that chaotic stuff, I still try to visit it once a month. Like I like reminiscing.
No, yeah, I do too. I do that all the time too with my old bands.
And that Flesh of Enslavement album should be out this Friday, so I'll send you a link to that.
Hell yeah.
And again, it was one of those projects. Some guys hit me up, and I was like, let's just do it.
That's fucking dope, dude. And then also you do guitar lessons as well,
Yes.
guest spots, solos, and all that stuff.
Let me know. I'm down to do everything, and especially if I'm unfamiliar, I'm down
Yeah,
with
it's a
it.
challenge. That is so fucking dope, dude. Thank you so much for coming in, and
Thank you,
hopefully we
man.
can do a second part, man.
Cool. Thank you a million.
If you made it this far, thank you guys so much. You guys are the greatest. Big thanks to go to Manny Lozano for lending me his time to record this episode. And make sure you like and follow and share his music from all his projects, including Triumph Over Shipwreck, the black metal band Hunhau Mitnal, and iArtifact. Also, make sure to follow Manny Lozano on his social media to keep up with everything he's doing at Manny Lozano, and maybe take a lesson from him or get him to guest on a track of yours. Also, please follow myself on Instagram and YouTube at Mindless Studios. And check out my bands, Armaros, that's ARMAROS, and Convict, spelled CNVCT. We'll be releasing another episode soon. They've been a little bit more sporadic due to the whole pandemic thing we've been going on, so also we've been pretty busy at work, so we'll get these episodes as soon as we can. So please stay tuned. And I'll leave you guys with one of my favorite tracks from iArtifact. This is the song Crepuscular Light.